All right. Welcome to episode 21 of the Pro Baduk Weiqi Podcast. This is again Xiao Dai, and we have
Gaza.
Gaza. All right, Gaza. It feels like this is a little bit of a quiet week, maybe. But let's get into it. There's still a pack full of updates that we want to give.
Well, this is an interesting week because it turns out Shin Jinso didn't actually play a game.
Oh wow, that's a bit of an innovation.
I think this may be the first podcast we've had where Shin Jinso didn't play a game.
I mean, he plays a lot of games over the years, right? He plays like
Yeah, he
100 games.
plays a lot of games. So
Yeah.
to have him take a week off, maybe he deserves a week off.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think I do believe he plays around 100 games. That's like recorded, not including the online, tournament. So that's an average of three days. And then he gets one game. So to go 1 week without a game is a bit of a difference. So let's maybe some of the tournaments we'll cover actually shows why he doesn't get a game. So let's start with the Samsung Cup qualification.
Should we actually start where we left off last week?
And that was the Nie Weiping Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that. Uh, so I can't recall. I think the first two rounds was played.
So the Nie Weiping Cup. What is the Nie Weiping Cup?
The Nie Weiping Cup. It says the fourth Nie Weiping Cup, right? But it's actually an under-20s tournament. But I do believe it's only changed into an under-20s tournament. From the fourth edition. For the first three editions of the tournament, it was a seniors tournament, a seniors international tournament where they invite, veteran Chinese, Korean, Japanese players to play. But from the fourth edition, they've changed it to an under 20s tournament, and it's going to be a knockout. It's a what did you say the time control was? Was it 1 hour per person or something?
It was 1 hour and three 30-second byoyomis.
Right. So I do believe it's an international tournament. For this particular edition, there's actually 8 Chinese players participating, and I believe 3 from Korea and 3 from Japan and 2 from Taiwan,
Yes.
making a field of 16. And the draw is based on the principle that people from the same region are not drawn together. So you could have a Chinese player playing a Taiwanese player, although politically that could sound alarming to some people. But So that's the principle. You don't want to play people from the same pro organization together. So you ended up with 8 Chinese players playing players from other pro organizations.
Yes. So I believe that according to the KBA,
Right.
all 4 editions of the Nie Weiping Cup have been different formats.
Right.
Apparently, the first one, 2019, was an invitational match for 8 seniors.
Yeah.
Um, the second tournament in 2020 was a team event between Korea, China, and Japan, 4
Yeah.
people each team.
Mm.
And then last year's one was a team event with 5 people per generation.
Right.
So I think this really could be the first one this is definitely the first one where it's exclusively for youths.
Right.
But it has many familiar players for those that followed the Globus Cup.
Yep.
In particular, all 3 of China's Globus Cup participants, Wang Jinghao, Tu Xiaoyu, and Zhou Hongyu, are in this tournament.
Yep.
And Fukuoka Kitaro, the runner-up of the Globus Cup, he's in this one as well, representing Japan.
Yep.
Korea has got 2 players from the Globus Cup, Moon Min-jung and Lee Yeon.
Yep.
They're hoping that they can do better than their Globus Cup efforts.
Yep.
And Taiwan has, is it Lai Junfu?
Yep.
who I think he made the quarterfinals of the Globus Cup, and he's a 7-dan from Taiwan. There are several other players because it's a 16-player field, but they're the main players of interest.
Yeah. So, of course, the biggest names in this tournament would be Wang Xinghao and Tu Xiaoyu.
There's also Jin Yu Cheng. He's a Jar League player.
Yeah.
As well.
And also,
slightly younger.
Yep. Slightly younger. Yeah. And also Li Haotong. He also plays in the Jar League for Hangzhou. So he gets some game time. So overall, it was if you recall what happened in the Kuksu Mountains Cup, it was 8 Korean players versus players from other regions, and 7 out of the 8 Korean players won in that one. But in the Nie Weiping Cup round of 16, something similar happened, except it's the Chinese players. They have won 7 out of 8 games. And something very interesting happened in one of the games.
Yeah, please go on. What happened?
Mate, and the game is not to... And the thing was not to do with the game itself, although the game itself was also very interesting. So basically, 7 out of 8 Chinese players have won. So... And one of the games was played between, I believe it was Myungin and Wang Chunhui. And the interesting about that game was that when they did the live broadcast on Fox, one of the main Weiqi platforms in China, I do believe they have switched around the players' names. So for the longest time, people were thinking that Moon was losing really bad. In fact, people thought that Moon had lost. But
Yes. So to be specific, in the live broadcast that I saw, Moon Minjung was listed as white.
Yep.
And Wang Chunhui, Moon Minjung is from Korea, and Wang Chunhui from China was listed as black.
Yeah.
And that was the standing for the whole game.
Yeah.
The color listing, and black won.
Yeah.
So we assumed that Wang Chunhui had won, and all of the other games were listed correctly, and China won all of those. So we actually thought that China won all 8 games.
Yeah, but that was actually not the case. Moon Minjun actually had won that game versus Wang Chunhui. So
yeah, it turned out that Moon Minjun was actually black in that game.
Yeah.
The live recording had them with the wrong colors. Now I've seen that happen before in live recordings.
Yeah.
Where they get the colors wrong. But usually they correct it within about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
This one was unique to me in that they never changed the colors.
Yeah.
And that is a problem with live broadcasts when there's no stream. That human error can lead to these cases where the live broadcast has the players with the wrong colors, and you just having your experience is just completely messed up. Imagine if you were following a soccer match.
Yeah.
Your country versus some other country.
Yeah.
And you end up losing like 2-0 or 3-0 or something, and then you find out an hour later that no, you actually won.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit disappointing, and you would expect better, or you would have expected that they would at least correct it. But it was only 1 game out of 8, so
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if this game was played in real life and there was a live stream of it, then obviously this mistake would be corrected much sooner. But because it was broadcasted online and you only see the key fu, and you had no idea. So basically. For a while, I thought, oh, well, it's like a Chinese wipeout. It's like the international comp, but all the non-Chinese players have been eliminated. But that's actually not the case. So actually, Moon Minjun actually went through to the next round. But let's cover all the results. So we have Wang Xinghao beating Lai Junfu. So that was kind of a bit expected because Lai was obviously not expected to challenge Wang Xinghao, one of the top players in China now. Li Haotong beat Li Yun. Zheng Zaixiang beat Xu Jing'en from Taiwan. Wang Chunhui, of course, lost to Myungin. And this is a big one. Jin Yucheng beat Fukuoka Kotaro. You may remember that Fukuoka Kotaro made the final.
Fukuoka I thought was Japan's big hope for this tournament. But he was runner-up in the Globus Cup. I think he's the next potential international hope for Japan. But not his tournament. Lost in the first round.
Yeah, and then Zhang Baiqing beat Sakai Yuki. So I'm not 100% sure if this guy's name is Zhang Baiqing or Zhang Boqing now, because I've heard someone pronounce his name Zhang Boqing, and I suspect there was a mistranscription of his Chinese name character. So it's either BO or BAI. But once he becomes a more famous player and I can confirm exactly what his Chinese character name is, we may be able to correct this. But I'm getting conflicting reports at the moment. But that's just a side word. Yeah.
I also want to say, I think this one was the last game to finish, and Sakai Yuki probably should have won this one, but I think in Byoyomi he sort of made some mistakes.
Right. So that's a bit of a... And then you got Zhou Hongyu beating Miura Taro, and Tu Xiaoyu beating Kwon Ho-jin.
Yeah, so I just want to correct you there. It's Kwon Ho-jin.
Kwon Ho-jin, yeah.
We've talked about him in a previous podcast. He was runner-up in the Ha Chang-seok gifted tournament, and I think we mentioned at the end of last podcast that it's Kwon Ho-jin.
Yeah, this might just be another spelling of his name. I'm not sure.
It's possible.
Yeah.
I just, before we go on to the next round, I just want to point out that something else rather fascinating happened in that first round, in that Black won every game.
Right. And this is fascinating
because... Which is not only... you also have to consider the fact that this is under Chinese rules.
Yes, yep.
Where White probably has the biggest advantage over, the main rule sets.
Yep.
Because they have 7.5 Komi.
Yep.
But White didn't win a single game.
Yes. That must be,
Yeah. That's got to... I don't know if that's ever happened before. And what was even weirder was we thought that China, because of the miscolors, the error in the Kifu with Moon Minjung and Wang Chunhui, we thought that China was black in every single game. It ended up that, it turned out later that Moon Minjung was black. But in the other 7 games, the ones that China won, China was black each time. So
now
quite bizarre.
Yeah, and just to show you some statistics. So this is a ratings system similar to ELO, where the players' ratings are calculated based on their 1 year worth of games. So this is not the Go rating. This is another rating system, but the rating means the same thing. It's basically the ELO ratings. So you can kind of use these ratings to compute the expected win percentage if 2 players were to play each other. And of course, given that Komi is different under Chinese rule and versus Korean and Japanese rule, you can actually also statistically compute what, in terms of ELO advantage, is playing White in the under 7.5 Komi. And under this model, it's estimated to be 36. But this model also estimates the Black Komi disadvantage under 6.5. So it's actually 13. So maybe this is starting to become significant, and maybe even if you test it, maybe it's starting to become statistically significant. And so just to give you a sense of what 13 actually means, if you look at the top 100 players, so between Shin Jin-so and the next player, there's about 70 points. So 36 points would cover almost half of the difference in terms of their rating. And so 16 points would be somewhere like Fanting Yu playing Kerje, almost wiping out the difference. So even if under 6.5 Komi, if you play White, you have a slight advantage according to the data from the last 1 year. And I think that's why in general pros tend to prefer White, because with White you can kind of research your response, because Black goes first and then you can just use AI to research what the appropriate response is in every single situation. So so that, given that data, this makes what you have noticed there, the black had won every game, even more statistically unlikely. But it did happen in this one. Yeah.
Yes, and that all of these games, by the way, were played on Saturday morning,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
And so when were the quarterfinals played?
Yes. The quarterfinal will play on the same day. So this is a little bit strange, but it did happen. I think maybe it's becoming a bit of a trend now. They want to just play 2 games in one day. But yeah, so the quarterfinal will basically play in the afternoon, and these are the matchups. We have Wang Xinghao matching up with Jing Yucheng, Li Haotong versus Zheng Zaixiang, and Tu Xiaoyu versus Moon Minjun, and Zhang Baiqing or Boqing versus Zhou Hongyu. And unfortunately for Korea, Moon Minjun had lost to Tu Xiaoyu in this game. So so all non-Chinese players are out after the quarterfinal.
So this is very reminiscent of the Kuksu Mountains International Cup, where Korea had 7 quarterfinalists and all 4 semifinalists.
Yes.
Looks like China has repeated that.
Yes. Now,
so who won the other quarterfinals?
The other quarterfinals.
Yeah.
So we had Wang Xinghao beating Jing Yucheng, Li Haotong beating Zheng Zaixiang, and Zhang Boqing or Baiqing beating Zhou Hongyu. Apparently, Zhou Hongyu had her chances in the game. In fact, she might have been leading quite a bit, but she lost in the end. So
it's got to be a bit of a shock, that one. That's a bit of a surprise.
Yeah. So Zhou Hongyu supposedly is the ranked second in China for the age group that Wang Xinghao is in. I think Wang Xinghao might be 18. So for 18-year-olds, Zhou Hongyu is actually ranked outright second in China, men and women. So but she didn't actually make it further than quarterfinals this time. So that's the quarterfinals. The semifinal and the final will be played another time. It's yet to be scheduled. I believe it will be played in real life, in person, over the board.
I believe it was meant to be played on Sunday, right?
No, I think it was meant to be. I think it might have been some misreporting earlier maybe in the calendar, but it was. I believe it was meant to be played like in a separate scheduled time and a place.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that's it. So it's going to be an all Chinese semi, and I guess people were expecting maybe like Wang Xinghao and Tu Xiaoyu are the favorites, and unfortunately, I did listen to a podcast in China, and they mentioned Moon Minjun, and how Moon Minjun had good results a few years ago, especially in the Globus Cup, where I think he beat players like Li Weiqing and Xie Ke, who are now both top 10 in China.
And Liao Wanhe. I think he beat Liao Wanhe
yes,
as well.
Yes. So Liao Wanhe would be somewhere in the top 20 kind of player. So Moon Minjun was like hot stuff back then. And I do believe in one of the interviews, Moon basically said, I will win an international title in 3 years. But with these kind of results, that's probably very unlikely.
It's going to be hard for him to even qualify for one, to be honest.
Yeah. So I'm not really sure what's happened, but yeah, Moon hasn't really lived up to his potential or expectations. So maybe the expectations are just way too high for a young player like Moon, but it's not happened.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but yeah, he definitely hasn't done a lot since that Globus Cup victory 3 years ago.
Yeah. So that is your Nie Weiping
Cup. 2 years ago, I should say. My mistake.
So let's look at some picks. This is the Japanese contingent playing in Japan. They're wearing a tie as well and a suit. So.
Well, that's how Japanese players play.
Turn up. Okay. Yeah.
That's
Miura.
I believe that's Sakai Yuki.
Yep. Okay. And over here in Korea, a lot more casual. So that would be
That's Lee Yon on the right.
Yep.
In the middle is Moon Minjung, and on the left is Kwon Heo-jin.
Yep. Okay. That's Moon Minjun. Still Japan. That's Fukuoka Kotaro thinking really hard down there. And they put all their drinks, on the side. I do remember him and his facial expressions after losing some competition. That's Tu Xiaoyu over here. That's Zhang. Oh. Okay. That's his name. Now I have to look it up. I thought when I put it into the Google it says Bai, but some people pronounce it Bo. I have to check it out. I'm not that good with Chinese. So that's
okay. On the left there is Wang Xinghao.
Wang Xinghao. I really don't recognize this person. I know this is Zhou Hongyu. I know this is Jing Yucheng. The rest I honestly can't recognize.
Well, third from the left is Tu Xiaoyu.
Yeah, that's Tu Xiaoyu. Yep.
Yes.
That's Zhou Hongyu. That's Jin Yucheng. The rest I don't recognize yet. Maybe they're just too young. All right. Oh, okay. That's Li Haotong. So that would be Li Haotong would be this person over here. He plays for Hangzhou as a J League player.
Hangzhou, is that? Oh, he's the reserve, right?
Yeah, he's the reserve. So when Xin Jinso doesn't play, they tend to play him. So maybe he's just being trained up. That's Zhang Boqing. That's Wang Chunhui. I believe he's also a J League player, but doesn't have really good results.
He is a J League player, yes.
That's Wang Xinghao, Wang Chunhui. Yep. So that's it.
Some of these guys look quite old.
Yeah.
Well, he certainly looks quite old.
I do believe that's the president of the Chinese Weiqi Association.
Is this the red telephone man?
Yeah, that's the red telephone man. That's the person with the red hotline in one of the pictures we saw a few episodes ago.
I really think Wang Xinghao is gonna win this whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, there's some online comments saying that this is more free money for Wang Xinghao, but I don't think that's really the case.
I just don't think that's a fair comment. The thing is that China hardly play far less games than anyone else. There's no need to criticize having more games for players.
Absolutely. There we go. So that's where they did the draw. All right. Nice. So that's the Nie Weiping Cup. Okay, let's now really move on to Samsung Cup qualification.
Yes. So I want to quickly go over the format for Korea, because I know that you have a lot of comments. This qualification is just for Korea.
Right.
Now, there are 9 qualifying spots available for Koreans, and 7 of them are open spots.
Right.
So anyone can enter and apply for them. There is 1 spot specifically for women.
Yep.
And 1 spot specifically for veterans, and I believe the veterans are over 45s.
Right.
Now, the women and the veterans, if they wish, they can try to qualify through the open qualifiers.
Right.
But yeah, I think in all cases they just do their specific qualification group. We should also mention that obviously there are some Koreans that don't need to qualify because they get seeded directly into the tournament.
Yep.
So to start off with, the 4 semi-finalists of the last Samsung Cup automatically get a spot in this Samsung Cup. So that would be Park Jun-hwan, who won it, Shin Jin-so, who was runner-up, and the 2 other semi-finalists were Yang Dingjing and Zhao Chenyu from China.
Yep.
And then on top of that, Korea get 4 national seeds.
Yeah.
So that's they pick 4 players who will go directly into the Samsung Cup tournament without having to qualify.
Yeah.
And they ended up being the next 4 players on the rating list. So that is Byun Sang-il, Shin Min-jun, Kang Dong-yoon, and Kim Ji-sok.
Right.
Obviously, Lee Dong-hoon is slightly higher than a couple of those players, but he's sort of retired.
Yeah.
So he wasn't selected.
Yeah.
And then all of the other Korean players, if they want to participate in the Samsung Cup, they essentially have to qualify.
Yeah.
And did you want to comment anything about the participation rate in the qualifiers or anything like that?
No, I do remember that there was an article where I've read where it says that the number of players has gone down. I believe
That's the number of players participating in the qualifiers.
Correct. If I'm not wrong, the stats I've read is that the number of participants has dropped to 150 from around maybe 200 something in the past year. And even for the women's group, it has dropped to, I believe, somewhere around 35 players. I think there's only about just under, maybe around 80 women professional players in Korea. So just under half maybe would have participated in this one. Even the veterans group has only 24 participants. Both of these numbers are new lows. So I'm not exactly sure why it's the numbers have come down so much. So that's not something I'm really aware of at this stage.
Yeah, I was curious about this myself. So I had a quick look.
Yeah.
Now of the 11, the top 11 players, women players in Korea.
Yeah.
I believe only 5 of them entered the qualifiers, and mind you, none of them got seeds.
Right.
So they would have all needed to qualify if they wanted to participate. Just going through the top 11 players, Choi Jong participated.
Yep.
She participated. Oh Yoo-jin and Kim Yoon-ji and Cho Song-ah all participated, and Cho Hee-yeon also participated. Now, of the other, but that's still less than half of the top 11 in Korea. The ones that didn't participate, some of these are probably expected, and some of them are a little bit surprising. So Kim Yoon-young, Oh Jong-ah, and Kim Hyo-min.
Yep.
All of them have recently become new mums.
Right.
So it's possible that they just didn't want to have to play so many games.
Right.
In such a short span of time, because these games, they essentially have to play one game a day.
Yeah.
It's possible they're just taking a break. Kim Hyo-min it may still actually be on maternity leave.
Right.
Song Hee-yeon, she seems to be semi-retired, to be honest. She doesn't seem to participate in many tournaments anyway. So it's really no surprise that she didn't participate. But the other two in the top 10, I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't enter. Park Ji-yeon is 8th in Korea, and she's, 5 or 6 years ago, she was probably the number 1 women's player in Korea. Maybe the number 2 after Choi Jong.
Yep.
She's won many women's titles, and obviously she's still in the top 10 women in Korea, but she just didn't enter the Samsung Cup.
Right.
But the most surprising is Kim Chae-young.
Right.
She's the number 2 women's player in Korea, so she would have had a huge chance of qualifying for the Samsung Cup as the women's qualifier.
Right.
Her and Park Ji-young were the biggest improvers last month.
Right.
In terms of ranking points. So they could be the 2 most informed women players in Korea. And neither of them entered the Samsung Cup qualifiers. Kim Chae-young's sister as well, Kim Da-young, also did not participate in the Samsung Cup qualifiers. So I was really confused, and I was wondering if there was some sort of other reason.
Right.
But it doesn't seem. I'm really not sure why they didn't participate. Kim Chae-young isn't. Yeah, she's not known to, not participate in tournaments.
And of course, she's playing very recently in the gentlemen versus ladies competition, so she's definitely playing. So
yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because I mentioned Song Hee Ryong,
Yeah.
who I said is semi-retired. She actually, the Gentlemen versus Ladies is one of the few tournaments that she actually does compete in.
Right.
I think she won 4 games in a row, or maybe 3 games in a row.
Very nice.
But she doesn't compete in anything else.
Right.
So I think she's sort of semi-retired. But
Right.
but yeah, Kim Chae-young, she's also, she's also a main player in the women's Baduk League.
Right.
I think she's going to compete in the women's strongest tournament as well. So it doesn't look like, it doesn't look like she's had a falling out with the KBA or anything like that, or she's going to, pull a Lee Dong-hoon. So yeah, really unsure why she didn't participate in the Samsung Cup, but she didn't.
Yep.
And yeah, and on the open side, I mean, with the veteran side, there are a lot of veterans that just don't compete because, it makes sense that they're probably sort of not really full-time competing anymore.
Yep.
Right, because they've sort of, in the twilight of their careers.
Right.
And in the open section, there weren't that many surprises not participating. Although I did notice a few. I think Park Ha-min
Yep.
didn't enter. And what's his? Let me just quickly check. I think he's like number 13 in Korea. So number 11 in Korea, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he entered. Yeah, I'm not sure if there are any others that didn't enter. But
Yeah. Now, one name I don't recall hearing is Jong Yujin. How did she do in the qualifiers? Did she?
She Jong Yoo-jin, the IBK Cup champion, she definitely entered the qualifiers. I can show you. She enters literally everything.
Yeah.
Let me see how she did. Jong Yoo-jin.
Now it's fair to say that she didn't even make it to the semi.
She beat Kang Da-jong. She beat Kang Da-jong in the first round.
Right.
And then lost to Kim Min-seo in the round of 16.
Right. So,
and if she'd won that, she would have faced Choi Jong in the quarterfinals.
Rematch. So it's very interesting to me that the winner of one of the, if not, probably the biggest women's tournament in Korea didn't even make it past the round of 16.
Oh, well, I think that's just. I'm really not surprised that Jong Yoo-jin.
Yeah.
I mean, Jong Yoo-jin. The way that she plays, she can beat the best and lose to the worst.
Yeah.
No, I didn't expect her to become the representative. I think it would have been difficult for her.
Yeah.
But at the very least, she entered. She entered the qualifiers, which is.
Now, let's before we cover the senior section, in the main open section, in the women's section, it was the last 4 was fairly interesting because Kim Eun-ji ended up beating Oh Yoo-jin to make it to the final.
So we're talking about the women's section, right?
Yeah, the women's section, yes.
Yes.
And Choi Jong beat I believe Ko Yoon-seo to make the final. Like, Ko is interesting because she's just turned pro like 3 months ago.
Yes, we may have actually reported on her.
Yeah.
Her getting her pro certificate in an earlier podcast. She's that new, a pro.
Yeah.
Like, basically, when we started these podcasts, she wasn't a pro.
Rare. And she made a semi of.
She beat Cho Shog-ah to make the semi-final of this qualifier.
Yeah.
Where she, she was defeated by Choi Jong. It was, it was essentially a case of master versus student.
Yeah.
Or master versus apprentice, I guess.
Yeah.
And Yeah, speaking of Choi Jong, though, I do want to point out. So, with the most of these qualifiers, the players had to win about 4 games, maybe 5, to qualify. With the
Right.
women's in the women's group, because there were so many, because there were more than 32 women entered, there were 35.
Yeah.
Some women would have had to win 6 games.
Right.
Most of them would have had to win 5. So Choi Jong had to win 5 games.
Right.
Her very first game, she almost lost
Right. Yeah.
to Kim Seung Bin,
Right.
a 2 down, and yeah, not a very well known player, not a very high ranked player. But
Yeah.
Choi Jong really should have lost that.
Yeah.
There was just at the very end of the game, there was a mistake in Yosei that
Yeah.
Kim Seung Bin made, and Choi Jong was let off the hook. And then in her third round game, so I think this was the quarterfinal against Kim Min Seo. I think she was well behind early in
Yep.
the game. I believe she lost a ko
Yep.
or something like that. And yeah, she fortunately managed to turn it around, but she was in a lot of trouble in that game as well.
Yeah.
So some nervous moments for Choi Jong fans in this qualifier, and of course, if you remember, she actually made the final in last year's qualifiers, but fell to Cho Chong-ah.
Yeah.
So was not able to qualify for the Samsung Cup last year. So she's hoping to do one better this year.
Yep.
And yeah, it was her against Kim Yoon-ji
Yeah.
in the final for the women's qualifier.
Yeah. And unfortunately for Kim Yoon-ji, she lost to Choi Jong in the final. So Choi Jong will be the rep, women's rep from Korea, and also in the senior section, Lee Chang-ho has qualified, and it's Lee Chang-ho has qualified 3 years in a row via the veterans section of the qualifiers.
Yeah. So yeah, this format of qualifiers started 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So this is the third year that it's happened, and I believe it's because of the pandemic
Right. Yeah.
that they're having these qualifiers. I think before the pandemic, it was open qualifiers,
Right.
where you could play players from different countries,
Yeah.
and so there wasn't a quota for each federation.
Yeah.
But with the pandemic, they're doing it this format,
Yeah.
and so Lee Chang-ho has won the veterans qualifier all 3 years it's happened. This year he beat Blackie
Right. Yeah.
final.
Yeah.
Kim Seong-jun.
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah, so Kim Seong-jun is doing okay this year. He's having a
Yeah.
pretty good year. He was in the Myungin,
Yep.
and now he made the final of the
Samsung.
Samsung Cup qualifiers. He beat Yu Chang-hyuk in the
Oh.
semi-final, by the way.
Yeah. Oh wow. That's great. Okay. So shall we just go through the list of names that have qualified via the
Yeah, so
qualifier?
let's go through the 7 open qualifiers.
So the highest ranked player is Kim Min-hun. He seems to make all the international tournaments for Korea.
Well, most of the recent ones that he's participated in, he was given a seed.
Yes.
So this one he had to actually qualify. He was the highest rated player in the qualifiers. Everyone above him had already gotten a seed. So he was basically he was 1 seed short of getting an automatic qualification, but it didn't matter because he earned it.
Yes. Yes. And of course, a former top 10 oldie but goodie Won Sun-jin also made
Well,
it.
let's not sell him short here. He's not just a former top 10. He's a former Samsung Cup champion.
Yes. I believe he also made another final of another international tournament.
He did. I don't remember which one.
Yeah, I can't remember. It might have been LG Cup or losing or something.
I'm not sure if it was LG Cup or the BC Card Cup. I'm just going to quickly check.
But
I'm just
Wilson,
gonna quickly check.
yeah, but just I think last week you had a bit of a trivia about Wen Sung-jin playing in a tournament, international tournament, like 20 years ago. So Won Son Jin had won the Samsung Cup, I believe, over Gu Li. So basically, Won Son Jin is Gu Li's generation, and there's no player left in Gu Li's generation still playing in the JA League. But Won Son Jin is still going strong in Korea, so
Yes.
it's a bit of an anomaly.
Yep, I just checked. You're actually right. It was the LG Cup that he was runner-up in 2012.
Right.
Yeah. But he won the Samsung Cup in 2011, so 11 years ago.
Yep.
And now he's back.
Yeah, he's back. It's still going strong. So of course we got Choi Jong, who we've covered, and Han Woo Jin. We've seen him in the Weiqi Construction Cup as one of the special young players that was selected.
And he was also in the Globus Cup. Yeah.
Yep. So he's a very, very young player, ranked in the top 50 in Korea. So of course we have Lee Chang-ho, but he's not from the open section. Kwon Hui Jin, we've seen this name before. He was
we literally just talked about him in the Nie Weiping Cup.
Yep. So very young player. Yu Oh Seong, I can't say I know anything about him.
So Yu Oh Seong was one of the if you remember in the Korean Baduk League,
right?
There's the 5 main players, and then there are 3 reserve players that sometimes play in the main tournament.
Yep.
He was one of the reserve players for Celtrion.
Right.
Which is Shin Jin-so's team.
Yeah. Okay. Ranked 69 in Korea. So it does seem odd that there's no one in Korea ranked in the 20s or something that made it. It's all 50, 60, 70. So that's a bit.
Kwon Hui Jin and Yu Oh Seong actually are both. That's not a typo. They're both ranked 69. They have the exact same ranking points.
Right. That's crazy. And then you got Lee Hyun Jin. Again, I can't really say I know much about him at all.
No. Well, he's not even in the top 100. I don't know if I know him from anywhere. I don't think he hasn't played in the Samsung Cup before, but he has actually played in the BC Card Cup.
Right. So
he's not a super young player.
Yeah. So maybe a pass from the past.
Yeah, but he's not. I don't think he's ever been a top player.
Right, I honestly don't recall seeing his name. But okay, Gyum Ji-woo, we've seen him before, maybe in the Korean Baduk League. But
yes, and I do want to talk about Gyum Ji-woo just a little bit because it's been a strange story for him.
Right.
So we have mentioned him in the Korean Baduk League. Now Gyum Ji-woo, he actually qualified for this Samsung Cup one day after turning 21.
Right.
So he's very, very young. He's 21. So he turned pro at the end of 2019 when he was 18 years old.
Right.
Then the very next year, he qualified for the reserves team of Celtrion in the Baduk League.
Right.
And one of Celtrion's players was not doing too well. So they put Gyum Ji-woo in one of the main player spots.
Right.
And he ended up playing 6 games that season in the Baduk League, and he won 5 of them.
Very nice.
Including, I think, beating Byun Sang-il.
Right.
And in the end, Celtrion actually won the championship, not because of Gyum Ji-woo, obviously because of Shin Jin-so and Won Song Jin.
Yeah.
But they still won the championship. And then what happens in the Baduk League is teams can retain their players.
Yeah.
They can retain as many players as they want, up to and including all 5.
Right.
Otherwise, the players are released into a draft and other teams can draft them. Now, Celtrion decided to retain its entire team, but they actually put Gyum Ji-woo in the 5th player spot, even though he was originally just a reserve.
Right.
That's how highly they thought of him, and that's how highly they thought of his performance.
Right.
And so by sort of mid-2021, mid last year, Gyum Ji-woo was in the top 50 in Korea.
Right.
Right, and this is less than 18 months after he turned pro. He's already into the top 50. So he was a huge prospect.
Yeah.
Then since then, sort of nothing happened.
Right.
Like he just stopped winning. Like I think since then, in the since the second half of 2021,
Yeah.
I think he's won about 45% of his games.
Right.
So he's lost more games than he's won.
Yeah.
In the Baduk League that season, in the most recent Baduk League, he went 3-8.
Right. That's not
And,
good.
and basically sort of the roles were reversed because in the previous Baduk League he was the reserve
Yeah.
who had to come in to replace one of the out of form main players.
Yeah.
This season he was the out of form main player
Yeah.
that had to be replaced.
Yeah.
So yeah, like his fortunes turned so quickly. It's like he's already peaked
Yeah.
at the 20-year-old.
Yeah. And he's now ranked outside the top 100.
Yeah, and his form has been so bad that he's fallen outside the top 100.
Yeah.
But is this qualification? Is this achievement a reversal of fortunes? Are we going to see the top 50?
Yeah.
Gyeomji Woo.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, let's hope so. So some of the players that he beat An Cho Young,
Yep.
a veteran with over 1,000 wins, career wins, but he's having a good year. Like
Yeah.
he's in the Myungin.
Yep.
So he's doing okay, and he also beat Lee Chang-seok in the final.
Oh wow. That's crazy.
In the final qualifier.
Yeah.
And Lee Chang-seok is I think he's
Former top 10 at least in Korea.
former top 10. I think he's like 12th
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 12th. So
Yeah. So Gum, despite his rankings, is not to be underestimated at all.
no, I mean, well, he's demonstrated that he can play
Yeah.
a lot better than what he's
Rankings
been
suggest.
playing in the last 12 months.
Correct. Yeah.
So maybe he's getting back into that form. Maybe he just had some things happen in those 12 months that resulted in him playing badly. I've got no idea. I'm just speculating. But if he's back into the top 50, into the form that saw him get into the top 50, I think that would be great.
Yeah. So thanks for the info on Gyeom Woo. So basically, 4 players will be making their world major debut.
Yeah, so you've got the 3 youngsters, Han Woo-jin, Kwon Hyo-jin, and Gom Ji-woo.
Yeah.
All of them are... Well, Gom Ji-woo just turned 21. The other 2 are teenagers.
Yeah.
Hopefully that will be their first of many.
Yeah.
And also Yu Oh-seong. I'll just quickly check how old he is. I don't think he's certainly not as young as those other 3.
Right.
But I'm just going to quickly check.
While you check that, I note that Kim Myung-hyun and Lee Hyun-jin will be making their Samsung Cup debut. Of course, we've seen Kim in a lot of world majors. Shonan Cup and LG Cup, and now Samsung Cup. And Lee, of course, as was mentioned before, he was in the BC Card Cup, which was an international major that has been discontinued for quite a while now. So
Yes.
yes,
And I just confirmed Yu Oh-seong is 33.
33. So okay,
So certainly not young, but still good on him.
yep, awesome.
And he may not be young, but he's still in great form.
Yeah, I mean, making one of these internationals tournament is not easy. Let's put it this way. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So of these 9 qualifiers, we've got 6 debutants for the Samsung Cup.
Yep.
We've got Choi Jong, who I think is playing in her 5th Samsung Cup.
Yep.
We've got Won Song Jin, who has won a Samsung Cup, and we've got Lee Chang Ho, who I think has won 4 Samsung Cups,
And including, I believe, 3 in a row in the late 90s.
including 3 in a row. So that's certainly Choi Jong is the only one of those who hasn't won the Samsung Cup but isn't playing in it for the first time.
Right.
It's pretty extreme.
Yeah. It's a very, very skewed list towards the lower end of the Korean ranking system, but very, very interesting list. So let's see how they do in the competition proper. So now I also do want to cover.
Yeah. I just want to go over a couple more things regarding the qualifiers. So I think there were maybe 12 or so amateurs.
Right.
That entered the main draw.
Right.
So there's sort of an amateur qualifier to get it down to 12, and then those 12 enter the main draw. Now, as you would expect, most of them are expected. Well, none of them are expected to win, really.
Yeah.
Four of them won their first round game,
Right.
and of those, one of them ended up winning 3 games.
Right.
I think it was. Oh, I'm just gonna quickly see if I can find their name.
Right.
Um,
But most of these so-called amateurs are basically insays that are training under the to
yeah,
become pro.
Kim Na Bin. Kim Na
Right.
Bin. Yeah. Most notably, he beat Kang Seung Min
Oh wow. Yep.
in the quarterfinal, and then in the semi-final he lost to Lee Chang Seok.
Right. Yep.
But yeah, winning three games against pros, pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah. 100%. So it's definitely very, very strong. So there's some pics of the qualifiers. So it's just played in a room full of people. Some games are streamed.
Random picture of Samira.
And some random pictures. Yeah, probably just random. Yeah. Okay, so that's the Korean qualifier. We also have a bit of Samsung Cup selection news from out of China. Now the men's qualification are still ongoing. I probably won't just go over the details because there's a post in there. You want to look at it. Now, hot off the press, the women's section. So China also has a women's section. So they will produce one women player to go into the qualifiers. And I believe there's also, if I'm not wrong, 6 groups. What did I say here?
Yeah, 6.
Six groups for men. So there will be 6 men players and 1 women player coming from China. That's just from the qualification section. Of course,
technically speaking, the 6 is not men; it's open.
Open, yes, open section. But I believe it's only men that are playing in it. So, and also of course China has 2 seeds. The 2 seeds are Kato Chie and Tang Weixing, and of course we also have Yang Dingxin and Zhao Chenyu from the semi-final last year, guaranteeing their spots in the Samsung Cup. So the men's result, when it comes out, we'll cover it. But hot off the press, in the women's section, Rui Nai Wei and Yu Zhiying are both on 4 wins and 1 loss because they play in a league. It's an 8-player Swiss type league. And given that there's 2 players on 4-1, and I do believe they're Sodos, so some of defeated opponent's score is also the same, supposedly. So therefore, it came down to head-to-head. And in today's game, Yu Zhiying beat Rui Nai Wei. So Yu Zhiying will be the Chinese women's rep in the Samsung Cup.
Right.
Yes. Now,
so let's just... Okay.
Yeah.
So I just want to do a quick overview of the entire Samsung Cup and what we know so far. So the Samsung Cup has 32 players in the main tournament.
Correct. Yeah.
Now, as we said, 4 of those spots go to the semi-finalists of the last Samsung Cup. So that was Park Junhwan, Shin Jin-so, Yang Dingjing, and Zhao Chenyu.
Yeah.
We have the 4 Korean seeds and then the 9 Korean qualifiers.
Correct. Yep.
So that makes 17.
Yep.
We have the 2 Chinese seeds, Koje and Tang Weijing.
Yep.
And then 7 Chinese qualifiers, 6 open and 1 women's.
Yep.
So that would make 26.
Right.
Is that 26?
I kind of lost count, but it does sound like it. Yeah.
Yeah, 26.
Yes.
Okay. Taiwan gets 1 qualifier.
Yes.
Okay, that makes 27.
Right.
Now, 4 more spots go to Japan.
Correct.
And 2 of those are seeds and 2 of those are qualifiers.
Right.
Now, the 2 Japanese qualifiers, one will be in the open group and one will be in the veterans group.
Right. Yeah.
So there's an open qualifier and a veterans qualifier.
Right.
That's the same as last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then that makes 31, and then the 32nd spot will be a wild card selection.
Correct. Yeah.
It'll almost certainly be Korean. I mean, Lee Chang-suk could be one of the favorites for that one, but we don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also Park Hyun-ho, Lee Ji-hyun.
Yeah.
But I just want to quickly talk about, very briefly, the Japanese seed possibilities.
Yes.
Now,
or impossibilities.
Yes. So the Japanese, I don't believe the Japanese have chosen their seeds yet.
No.
Nor have their qualifiers happened yet.
No.
So we haven't got any details there, but we just want to quickly discuss who the seeds could be. Now, I know what people are probably thinking. Well, Japan get 2 seeds. Iyama is obviously one of the top 2 players in Japan, no doubt.
Yeah.
Right. So he's guaranteed to be a seed. Well, it turns out Iyama is almost certainly not going to be playing in the Samsung Cup.
Right.
And the reason for that is because the Samsung Cup clashes with Game 5 of the Meijin title match.
Right.
And so, like, I believe it's the round of 16, and we'll be clashing.
Right.
So essentially, Iyama is playing the Meijin title match.
Yep.
He is the current Meijin, and Shibano Torimaru is also playing in that match. He's the challenger.
Yep. So
if they're playing in Game 5, they simply cannot play in the Samsung Cup. No. It's not possible.
Yeah.
Now, you may be thinking, well, the Meijin is a best of 7.
Yeah.
Iyama is ahead 1-0 at the moment. What if Iyama wins all 4 games?
Yeah.
What if Iyama wins the first 4 games? Then they won't have a Game 5, and then they can participate.
Yeah.
Well, Game 4 finishes 3 days before the Samsung Cup starts.
Right, yeah.
And I don't think there's any chance Japan are going to wait that long before they determine who their seeds are going to be.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's not going to be feasible.
Yeah.
So it's 99.99% sure that neither Iyama nor Shibano are going to be playing in the Samsung Cup.
That's a bit of a shame.
It's definitely a shame because, again, and this is one of the reasons, and we've mentioned this before, but I don't think I'm not sick of discussing this. It's one of the reasons why Iyama has not won a world major.
No.
It's entirely possible, and I do believe that at his peak he was strong enough to win a world major.
Yeah, 100%.
Sometimes you have to be a little bit lucky.
Yeah.
Unless you're like Koje and Shinjin So, in which case when you're at your peak, no one can beat you.
Yeah.
On other times, you can get a little bit lucky and win a world major. Iyama was good enough to do that. The problem is when Iyama was at his peak, he was holding all of the domestic titles, and so he was playing in title matches which clashed with the majors. So when Iyama was good enough to win a world major, he was too good to even enter the world major.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a catch-22. It's a contradiction. The thing is, if Japan is sort of scheduling themselves out of having
their best players,
having international chances.
Yeah.
It's disappointing, and I would have loved to see Iyama in the Samsung Cup, but it's not going to happen this year.
Yeah. And let's not fool ourselves into thinking that the Japanese public or the Japanese players aren't interested in winning this international title because of the domestic titles are worth more. Because I'm 100% sure I've seen an interview with Yama where he said his dream is still to win an international title, and don't forget the 9-year-old Japanese boy who just turned pro. He mentioned in the news conference that his idol he wants to become like Shinjin So. And obviously he wants to win an international title. So people in Japan do pay attention to these kind of things. And it's just a shame that I don't know why the Nihon Kin and the sponsors in Japan can't be a bit more flexible and, work around their schedule or coordinate more with the Korean and Chinese counterparts to make sure that their best players are able to participate. It's just It's just something that's nobody wants to see. We all want to see the best Japanese player participate, but it's just not happening year after year. It's really getting frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with everything you say there. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, we don't have a solution for it because, we're not the sponsors of these tournaments. But at the very least, I do hope that Ichiriki will play in the Samsung Cup. I hope that Su Shawan will play in the Samsung Cup.
Yeah.
I don't know who else is going to.
Maybe Yu Zhengqi would be a good one.
Yu Zhengqi would also be good. I'm not really sure who is available in the veteran section. It was Yamashiro Hiroshi,
right?
Who got through the veterans qualifier last time.
I believe he almost won the first game, but
maybe.
Can't remember.
I believe Yamashita. He may have been one of the selections last year, and he did beat Cho Xiong'an in the first round.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
So okay, so that's the Samsung Cup. Still.
Yeah. By the way, the Samsung Cup will take place in October. I think the first round will be on the. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, it should be in the calendar. So.
Oh, it's the 27th.
Yeah. And
okay.
The good thing about the
actually, you know what? Maybe it doesn't clash with the Meijin. I may have gotten this wrong. Let me just quickly check.
Based on the calendar, it says 27-28. It's round of 32.
It's actually okay. No, so actually, I got this confused. I actually got it confused with the Nongshim Cup.
Right.
So Meijin Game 5 is actually taking place during the Nongshim Cup.
Right.
And Game 6 takes place October 24, October 25.
Right.
And the Samsung Cup starts on October 27.
Yeah.
So there is a chance that Iyama will and Shibano can play.
Right.
If the Meijin finishes in 4 or 5 games, there may be a chance.
Right.
I think it's very unlikely. I think it's very unlikely that that they'll leave it till October to pick the seeds.
Right.
So I think there's a 99% chance that Iyama doesn't participate in the Samsung Cup, but it's better than I thought because there isn't actually a clash. But I'll cross my fingers. I will cross my fingers.
Let's hope so. And of course,
but the thing is, regardless of the fact that I did get this wrong, these clashes still they still exist. There was a clash in the LG Cup with the Honinbo.
Yeah.
So there still are clashes, and I think it's just good fortune here that there isn't a clash with the Samsung Cup. But I still think that the scheduling of the Meijin will make it unlikely that Iyama or Shibano participate in the Samsung Cup.
Yeah.
We will report once we find out the Japanese selection.
Yeah.
We will report on it.
Yeah, 100%. And okay, we won't go through the Chinese lineup just yet, but they're still playing. But this is the matchups in the Chinese selection. You can see all the big names are still there. So let's see. Well, unfortunately, I do want to say that Wang Xinghao and Tu Xiaoyu are already out of the Samsung Cup.
Yes, I did hear that Wang Xinghao is out again. It's really disappointing. It seems like when it comes to the international selection, he just he just doesn't do well.
Yeah, and I listened to a podcast recently. I think they counted that Wang Xinghao has been given 5 chances at trying to qualify for this international tournament. Of course, qualifying from the Chinese system is not easy because all the players are so strong. So, but when you have been given 5 clear opportunities to qualify, you still didn't capitalize on any of them. I guess it's hard to blame the system or chances or opportunities because you need to start taking them as well. So
right,
But anyway, that's the Samsung Cup preview. Before we get too excited about the Samsung Cup, let's go back to domestic tournament with a little bit of an international flavor, which is the J League Round 10, which happened over about 3 or 4 days ago, and it's now the second round that's been played as a home and away format, meaning that not all the teams are situated in one place. The away team actually have to travel to the home team city to play. But unfortunately, 2 of the teams, maybe due to COVID or whatever, could not hold the game. So instead of having eight matches, there was only 6 in round 10 so far.
So that means that 4 teams didn't participate.
No, so yeah, that's right. 4 teams didn't participate. Now, this game in this round in the pre-round news conference, I believe this is pre-round news conference. You can see here, this is Team Shenzhen doing the news conference in Shenzhen. On the right is Luo Shihe, legendary player, Shenzhen's coach, and Kato Chie, of course, one of Shenzhen's big spending imports. He's transferred from one of the Chinese clubs. Of course, Shenzhen also got Park Junhwan. So in the pre-game news conference, Luo Shihe was basically asking Kato Chie, putting him on the spot and says, do you want to be the main player? Because obviously Kato Chie hasn't done great as a main player on the main player board in the J League, because I believe he's only won 1 game out of 5 or 6 on the main player board, and so that's a dismal record by Kato Chie's standards. So Kato Chie was like, "Oh, I'll listen to your planning, so I won't, But then Luo Shihe keep pressing, says, do you have a strong desire to be main player? Just all laughs from there. So Kato Chie also recognizes he hasn't played so well this year. So what's happened was Kato Chie again was not put into the main player spot. It was still Park Junhwan in the main player spot, and Kato Chie only played on board 4. But apparently Kato Chie had an amazing game. He beat Xuanhao like really easily. So, and he played his usual light, fast style. So if you look at the Kifu, Kato Chie just moved around the board so fast. It almost felt like the Chen couldn't keep up. So maybe Kato Chie's back, looking at the performance in this game. But of course, Xuanhao is not in the top echelons of Chinese Weiqi. So let's not read too much into Kato Chie's performance. Interestingly, Xinjin was also not played. So that means,
can we just quickly have a look at Hangzhou's opponents though?
Right. Let's look at Hangzhou's opponent, which is Shanghai Qingyi.
And I think we can see here why Xinjin So was rested.
Yes.
This is by anyone's admission, this is one of the weaker teams.
Yeah.
Shanghai Qingyi is one of the weaker teams in the J League.
Yeah.
And again, it's the Hangzhou use this as an opportunity to let Li Haotong play a game.
Yep, correct. So that's where you see Li Haotong's name pop up.
Obviously, and also, saving money by not having to pay Xinjin So his game winning prize.
Yes. So now, there was a report in one of the Korean newspapers, I do believe, that says, well, this is the 3rd time that Xinjin So has been rested in the J League, and of course, J League would be one of Xinjin So's main income sources. So they were saying that maybe Xinjin So, from next season should put in the contract, minimum number of games that he should play, so that he can guarantee some game time. So I have absolutely no idea what's in the contract, but reportedly Xinjin So makes 110,000 renminbi per win. So
that is a lot of money. That's like that's over 20,000 Australian dollars.
That's right.
For winning.
Yeah, I do believe the reports from last year was that he was on 150,000. So maybe it's dropped, or maybe the contract has changed, or whatever the reason is. So but anyway, that's still a lot of cash for one win. Of course, I think you have to win to make that much.
And even though Shinjin-so isn't like short on revenue streams,
Yes.
right? He's got
Yeah.
he's got the LG, he's won the LG Cup, the Chunman Cup, and he's obviously going to have sponsorship deals as well.
Yeah.
Even though he's not short, like that is still a lot of money that he's not getting,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
For not winning, like it's noticeable. So
Yeah.
yeah, who knows what the agreement is? But I guess that I guess that he probably doesn't. He probably doesn't mind that much.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it's still that he doesn't get to play much. So that's, I mean, most of the stuff that I wanted to cover for the rounds, because basically what happened was Kerje won, Park Jun-hwan won, Shin Min-jun beat Hwang Yun-sung, Tang Wei-shin lost to Byung Sang-il. That was a good game. And Park Jun-hwan played against a very young player, Hu Zihao, but Hu, I believe he's never been on the main player board, but Hu has won quite a few games, even though he's just very young and just qualified for the J League this year. And again, not so good results for Kim Yeon-hyun, lost to Xu Yue. And Wang Xinghao beat Liu Zhaozhe, and Jin Yu-chen lost to Wang Zhejin. So I don't want to go through every single result, but let's quickly look at my favorites, which is the standing. So Hangzhou is on 25 points, favorites. Jiangsu is on 24 points. Shenzhen, after spending big, only scraping only like 17 points. So there's a lot of teams on 17 points, so barely in the top 8. And of course we saw Shanghai Qingyi only collected 2 points. They're almost guaranteed to be relegated, basically. So let's not look too much into this.
Can I also just point out that Chen Jian, he won again.
Right.
So he's on 9 wins.
Yeah.
Out of 10.
Correct. So him and Li Xuanhao are the only 2 players that are still on.
And Li Xuanhao's win game this round against Gu Zihao, this was probably the game of the week for me. It was pretty crazy game.
Yeah. So yeah, we should maybe have a quick look at Li Xuanhao's game versus Gu Zihao, just to show you what's happened. It was a crazy game, wasn't it?
Yes.
So let me know if there's one part of the game that you want to look at specifically. But what's interesting to me is that obviously
just quickly, who's black and who's white?
Oh yes, by the way, black is Li Xuanhao, white is Gu Zihao. So what's interesting to me is that at the beginning of the game they start doing Mi's flying dagger Joseki, which is a monster Joseki. I can honestly tell you, I would not play this Joseki during a game. It's just too many branches and you have no idea what's happening. So this is still in Joseki mode, okay? It's still in Joseki. Boom, 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 bang. So at this point, white played here. I think at this point, black can actually spend a move to kill the corner. So Atari, throw in, that's gone. So I guess white could have played here to make the corner Seki, but white decides to expand. So yeah, so that's the first interesting point, and the black played here. So let's just quickly go over what's happened. So there's some huge fighting that develops here, and then black's now running a dragon. Okay, so this dragon doesn't have 2 eyes, so Li Xuanhao's trying every trick in the book to try and make some eyes, but it isn't happening. So white's destroying all the eyes, but black continues to run out. And one thing you should note is that black's getting more and more liberties as he tries to run out and create this trouble for white. Bang, cut. Okay, so now black is completely cut off, but it just got a lot of liberties. And notice that this white group is also not alive. So it's now basically almost like one of the biggest capturing rates you ever see. Basically, just Yeah, so black is also destroying white's eyes. No, bang. No eyes for white. So white's dragon ran from here all the way to here, just similar to what black has done. Bang, bang, bang. Cut. Bang. Okay. I think this is when white resigned. So the rest of the moves were just me clicking around. So this is where the game white had resigned. Now apparently, I do believe it's in black's in a capturing race with white, but at their level they know that black's gonna win the capturing race for sure. So that's why white resigned.
It's just a crazy game because you got all these running groups. None of them are alive.
It's just crazy. And don't forget, this corner is still not resolved. So they had no time to resolve this corner because black can obviously Atari and still capture this group. But yeah, so it's quite crazy to me that they left this whole thing. It doesn't really matter because it's just this white dragon versus this black dragon. I haven't missed anything, right? So it looks like
no. This was watching this live. I remember watching this live without AI because I was at work.
Yeah,
and I couldn't. I was just I just kept checking in on this game because it was just so crazy.
Yeah, So
and trying to predict the moves and everything. It was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, well played by Li Xuanhao, and he's now on 9 wins out of 10, along with Chen Jian. He's definitely the most informed player in China at the moment.
Yeah,
Li Xuanhao.
Yeah, I think
Li Qingcheng actually lost.
Yeah.
It didn't affect how Hangzhou's performance. They still got the full points, but Li Qingcheng finally got another loss. Goes to 8, but still 8 out of 10. He's still doing so well.
Yeah. Now it's very interesting that because Li Qingcheng, he actually lost to Ye Changxin, which you can see here on the list of top 10 overperformers. In fact, he's number 2, and Ye is like 15. He's very young, and at 15 you play in the Jar League, you play 9 games, you win 6 of them. That's a huge achievement. So Ye might be someone to watch in the coming years. So yeah, that's a great achievement for a 15-year-old.
So yeah,
good one. So looking at the full table, so only I believe 4 players have played 10 games and won at least 8. So these are the best performers in the league so far. So Li Xuanhao, Chen Xian you've mentioned. Li Weiqing's still doing great. And Li Weiqing plays all his games on the main player board, so this is a huge achievement.
8 out of 10 on the main player board is outstanding.
Yeah, including beating Sinjin So, of course. And of course Li Weiqing is still there. Sinjin So has only played 7 games, but done quite okay. Lost twice. So that's it. That's Jar League round 10. So for people who are interested in the full stats for every player, they're just down here in the post. And shall we move on to covering a little bit of the Myungin in Korea?
Yeah, let's go to some of the domestic tournaments that we've sort of missed.
Yeah.
We've got about a month of stuff to update. There haven't been that many games,
right?
Fortunately, but the Myungin is down to 8 players now. It started with 16 and it's now down to 8. So maybe it's a good time to get an update.
Yep. So Myungin is played in it's like a double elimination. You have to lose 2 games to get eliminated from the tournament, right?
Yes, up until the final.
Right, up until the final, yes.
I'll just try and send you. So I'll just try and send you the game, the matchups,
right,
in the chat, so you can see sort of the. Now this is from the KBA website. It hasn't been completely updated.
Yeah.
but I can give you the results.
Right.
So on the left here,
Right.
on the left, that's the winners bracket. So they're the players that haven't lost yet. Now, the one game that we hadn't covered was the one that happened on the... we haven't covered any of the games that happened in August.
Right.
So the one on the 2nd of August, that was the quarterfinal between Shinjinso and Sim Jae-ik.
Yeah.
And Shinjinso won that one.
Yeah.
It was an interesting final position. In the end, if you have the game.
Yeah.
I remember this game. Sim Jae-ik, he took all 4 corners. If you go back to the very start and we go through the Josekis, so Sim Jae-ik is black.
Yeah.
And you can see both times when Shinjinso did the 3-3 invasion, Sim Jae-ik still took the corner and let White make a Ponuki.
Yeah.
So, Sim Jae-ik took all 4 corners.
Yeah.
And it turned into a Moyo game, which seems to be one of the strategies that people are trying against Shinjinso at the moment.
Yeah.
Not let him get easy territory and turn it into a Moyo game.
Yeah.
And in the end, Sim Jae-ik actually got the center as well. He actually surrounded Tengen.
Yeah.
And I don't recall a game where Black got all 4 corners and Tengen and still lost.
Right. Yes.
But that was the case here.
Yeah.
He resigned, but he was behind by about 2.5 points, I think.
Right. So it was reasonably close, but so Black got corner, and also surrounded Tengen.
Yeah. It was reasonably close, and Shinjinso, it was a tricky game for Shinjinso. He was definitely not comfortable until move 150 or so, when he finally managed to move ahead in Yosei.
Right.
I'm not sure about the exact position, but it was there were never any dead groups or anything like that. It was always a matter of a handful of points.
Right.
Which is not really Shinjinso's style of game.
Right.
So Sim Jae-ik obviously had a game plan and it almost worked, but Shinjinso is just too good.
Yeah. Oh wow. Almost.
But so the other 4 games that happened were all in the losers bracket.
Right.
So the 4 winners bracket quarterfinals, the losers of those games went into the losers bracket.
Yeah.
And so they played the next round. So if you go back to that, now the results aren't on the KBA, like they aren't on this diagram, but I can tell you what they were. So the first game was on the 17th of August.
Yeah.
And that was Shin Min-jun versus Hong Mu-jin.
Hong Mu-jin, yep.
And Shin Min-jun won that game.
Yep.
Okay. Then the next day, An Cho-young played Cho Wang-kyu.
Yep.
An Cho-young, the veteran, with over 1,000 career wins, versus Cho Wang-kyu, still a very young but very promising player. An Cho-young prevailed there.
Yeah.
I think it was a fairly close game, but An Cho-young's experience saw him through.
Yep.
Then, so the last 2 games were actually played yesterday and today.
Right.
So yesterday was Byun Sang-il versus Kang Seung-min.
Yep.
Byun Sang-il won that game.
Yep.
To keep his hopes alive.
Yeah.
And then today, Lee Ji-hyun played Sim Jae-ik.
You're right.
And unfortunately for Sim Jae-ik, he was not able to win this game. So, he's now out of the tournament. Yep. But Lee Ji-hyun, he's still in there.
Yep.
So that leaves 4 players in the winners bracket and 4 players in the losers bracket.
Right.
So the next round of games will be the semi-finals in each of those brackets. So the semi-finals in the winners bracket will be, I believe, Won Song Jin versus Park Chun Hwan.
Right.
And that's actually going to be played on the 5th, so that will be played on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Tuesday, it will be Kim Ji-sok versus Shin Jin-so. Both games are can't miss games here.
Yeah.
But remember, this is double elimination, so whoever loses these games will still be in the tournament.
Right.
So it's not knockout, not these ones.
Yeah.
The two games in the losers bracket will be knockout though, and they will be on the 7th, Lee Ji-hyun versus An Cho-young.
Right.
And on the 8th, it will be Shin Min-jun versus Byun Sang-il.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So, yeah, you've really got the best of the best left here.
Yeah.
I think only An Cho-young is not in the top 15 of these remaining players. Yeah.
Of course, Myungin is one of the it's a Korean word for the Meijin, so it's a big one in anywhere you go. Okay, so that's the Myungin covered. Shall we then move on to I do believe we have up here the women's Honinbo that we want to just quickly talk about because the women's Honinbo Challenger final has just happened. Might have been yesterday.
It was yesterday,
yes.
as of this recording. So it was on Thursday.
Right.
We did mention this in the calendar at the end of the last podcast.
Yep.
So, who were the players in this? So the women's Honinbo is a challenger title holder format.
Yep.
So Fujisawa Arena is the current title holder. So she'll be participating in the title match, and the challenger was determined in yesterday's game.
Yes, and the two players playing in that game were a big name player, Ueno Asami, and maybe lesser known Kato Chie. But Kato Chie also made one of the women's leagues. So
yes, the women's Meijin
league. So she's very, very, very strong. And basically near the end of the game, I do believe I do remember watching this. Even near the end of the game, it was it says that Kato Chie was leading. So in this game, Ueno Asami is white, Kato Chie is black. So this, I think at this point, I do believe AI assessed that black is ahead by around 4.5 points, somewhere around there. So Ueno Asami made this attachment, and Kato Chie says, no, I have that. And this is, if you look at the board over here, so black is thick almost everywhere. So that's actually not much chances for white. And this is the only place where white still has a chance to make something. Notice that there's a white stone in the corner, still unactivated, like a slippers agent. And AI was suggesting that obviously if white cuts, then black can just Atari. That's just too simple. Then black is thick everywhere. So white has to extend or hane up to make things complicated. And AI suggests haneing up. And did Ueno Asami find the move? Oh yeah, she found the move to make the game complicated. And yeah, she even did this kind of invasion. Anyway, she managed to make the game complicated, and ultimately she reversed the game. She won by 4.5 points in the end. So Ueno Asami, it says white resigned here, but I do recall maybe it was like 4.5 points. I can't remember.
It wasn't. Yeah, she didn't resign. It was a 4.5 point win.
Right. So my memory is correct. So anyway, so therefore Ueno will challenge Fujisawa Arena, and So who will you be cheering for in the final?
I'm going to be cheering. Well, I was hoping that Kato Chie would win. I'm a big Kato Chie fan.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit salty.
Yeah.
Ueno Asami won.
Yeah.
I'm going to be cheering for Fujisawa.
Yes. So this is the picture of whether this is Kato Chie. So yeah, and it was common. And even Shibano turned up in the commentators box, so that was a good one.
Very interesting. Yeah, that Shibano would turn up.
Yeah. So that was that. That was a little bit of a quick update on the women's Meijin, and I think to round off this podcast, we have some news from Japan as well. It's just work it up in a progression. So from women's Honinbo,
the open domestic major.
to the open domestic majors. So we skip this, but let's talk about Tengen. So Tengen, the current Tengen is Seki Kotaro. So Seki, apart from taking the title from Ichiriki last year, just couldn't make a major league. So and then Ita Asushi beat Ichiriki Ryo to earn the right to challenge Seki Kotaro. So unfortunately,
yes, that's right. Ichiriki. So he had just lost the Tengen
right
to Seki Kotaro. So he was trying to qualify to challenge to try and get it back.
Yes.
And he fell one, and so he was in the challenger final against Atsushi Ida, former Judan.
Yeah.
And Atsushi Ida prevailed. So Atsushi Ida he'll be trying to get his second major.
Yep.
Second Japanese major.
Yep.
Now in Japan, if you win 2 domestic majors, you get promoted to 9 dan.
Right.
However, Atsushi Ida just a couple of weeks ago, I believe, already got promoted to 9 dan, because the main way you get promoted to 9 dan is by winning 200 games as an 8 dan.
Right.
And so he actually won that Judan title quite a while ago.
Yeah.
So long ago that he's managed to win 200 games since winning that, because he got promoted to 8 dan as a result of winning the Judan title. So essentially, if you win a domestic major, you go to 8 dan, and if you win a second one, you go to 9 dan.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
So Seki Kotaro, as a result of winning the Tengen, he's an 8 dan, and if he manages to defend it against that Sushi Ida, he'll go to 9 dan, Seki Kotaro.
So basically now we have a situation where a 9 dan is challenging an 8 dan for a title.
If only it was the Judan, then you could say an 8 dan is challenging a 9 dan, or a 9 dan is challenging an 8 dan for the 10 dan.
Oh yeah, wow. Okay. Oh, wow.
Actually, wasn't that the case when Yu Zhengqi challenged Su Shaowan, an 8 dan challenging a 9 dan for the 10 dan?
Yeah. Yeah, that might have been what happened, yeah.
But also, if you just challenge for a title, you get promoted to 7 dan. So Seki Kotaro, I believe he was originally a 4 dan.
Right.
And then when he won the Tengen Challenger tournament, he got promoted to 7 dan.
Yep.
Then by winning the Tengen, he gets promoted to 8 dan. And then if he defends it, he'll get promoted to 9 dan.
Yep. And I think it's not mentioned here, but I do believe Seki Kotaro also lost to Yamayuta in one of the Argon Kiriyama Cup.
That's right. He lost to Yamayuta in the Kiriyama Cup semi-final. So that's essentially Japan's biggest non-major tournament.
Yeah. And so Seki, being a title holder, still hasn't made a major league. And let's see if he can defend his title this time.
Yes.
So that's the Tengen. And also, as we progress to something even bigger, we got the Oza. What's happened there?
Yes, so that was so the Oza is held by Yamayuta, who beat Shibano Torimaru last year.
Yeah.
And Shibano, a similar situation to Ichiriki. Yeah. Shibano was trying to win the challenger tournament to try and become the challenger to win back the title that he lost last year.
Yeah.
And he made it to the final as well.
Yeah.
Against, I believe, Yu Zhengqi.
Yu Zhengqi, pictured here in the final.
And just like Ichiriki Ryo, Shibano fell short at the final hurdle.
Yes. But of course, losing to Yu Zhengqi is not a biggie, because these are really familiar names in Japanese Go. So this is a picture of Yu Zhengqi after he's won the game. So notice that behind him is that's Xu Chaoyuan. So fellow Taiwanese, a a bit of what do you call this?
Camaraderie.
And also I was thinking of another word, but I can't think of it. But that's Yu Chengqi, and that's Shibano after losing the challenger final. So that's 2 bits of news coming out of Japan, and now to a little bit of the fun little news items.
Oh, this is the biggest news of the week, I believe. I think we're talking about Kato Chie's new travel show.
Oh yeah. Apart from that, let's just forget about Kato Chie's travel show. So you may notice this is Kato Chie, and he's the spokesperson for this car company. I believe it's like an electric car company in China.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that's just him. He dressed smartly at the news conference place or whatever that's called. Anyway. But that's not the main story. So he posted this on his social media. Right, Kato Chie just posted this. And, guess what happened? In the comments, he was trolled. So this comment literally says, "This car has 7 seats. You don't have 9 crowns." What is this person referring to? Gaza?
He's referring to Kato Chie's 8 international titles, but...
Yeah.
His last title was 2 years ago.
Well, yes, and he famously lost the LG Cup final to Shin Min-jun. So had he won that?
The thing is, and someone mentioned this in the Pro Weiqi subreddit, that this comment doesn't even make any sense.
Right.
Because if the car had 9 seats, then the comment would make sense.
Yeah.
You could say the car has 9 seats, but you don't have 9 crowns.
Yeah.
But here, he's just saying the car has 7 seats, but you don't have 9 crowns. Doesn't make any sense. He's still got more crowns than seats.
Yeah. Well, I have no idea what I like. Don't look into the logic part of these trolling comments. All right. Whatever the logic may be, this guy's got 6,700 likes when the screenshot was taken. All right.
That's just one of the pitfalls of the internet.
Yeah.
You can say something completely nonsensical and still get
shitloads of likes,
praise for it. Yeah.
But this is Kato Chie's reply. It's a bit. It's definitely not modern Chinese. It's a bit like ancient Chinese. It's like the difference between modern Greek and classical Greek or whatever it is. So he's written in this ancient form. So but the translation is "I will take it." So Kato Chie is basically saying on social media that he will definitely get a 9th international title. So that's a bit of the news of the week. Let's see if Kato Chie can do this. Now, obviously, in this article, people have collected some screenshots of international tournaments that Kato Chie is still in. So this is, of course, the LG Cup quarterfinal. Kato Chie is in it. Kato Chie is playing Kang Dong-yun. Of course, a little bit of bad news for everyone else. Sun Jin-so is also still in it. But Sun Jin-so is playing Mi Yu-ting. So
why is that bad news?
Sun Jin-so is by far the strongest player in the world. So, playing against him in a tournament, having him in a tournament means that your chance of winning it is a lot less likely. So let's just put it that way.
Is Kato Chie in any other international tournaments?
Well, that's where the second screenshot comes in, because Kato Chie is still in the Chunlan Cup.
Oh, there we go. Who's he playing there?
He's playing Sun Jin-so in the quarterfinal. So that will be a cracker of a game, hopefully.
You know what? I just want to say this. I hope Shin Jin-so gets black.
Ah, right. Yeah.
Because again, I've said this before. I do believe that white has a better chance.
Yeah.
White has a slight advantage under Chinese rules.
Yeah.
I want to see Shin Jin-so as black against Kato Chie.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
So give Kato Chie a bit of a leg up.
I just think it would be more exciting.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. And of course, those two are not the only tournaments that Kato Chie is in. Of course, we talked about it in this podcast. Kato Chie is in Samsung Cup. Of course, that hasn't happened yet. And of course, Kato
Chie has won 4 Samsung Cups.
Yes, that's his best tournament.
Yes.
And Kato Chie, of course, is in the new international tournament, which is the Lanka Cup, scheduled to happen in December. So even in this year or into the early next year alone, Kato Chie is still in 4 international tournaments. So at
That's
least,
actually all of the international tournaments, isn't it?
right. And yeah, I do believe there's recently some talk about the Tenfu Cup and not returning, and the Bailin Cup is definitely gone. But Tenfu Cup still has a small chance of being resurrected.
About the
Now,
same chance as a Yama playing in the Samsung Cup.
possibly, and let's not speculate too much. Of course, the M Lily Cup is still there as an international tournament. It's scheduled to
Yes,
start,
the M Lily Cup. Yes.
but I
Do we
think
have any news on when that will start?
nah, no idea. Well, I guess as soon as we know, we'll post it on Weiqi, but no idea yet. But yeah, given Kyrgyz is still in 4 tournaments at least, and maybe a 5th in this year and the next year, and of course maybe they will continue the In Cup. They might start the next In Cup before this In Cup is finished.
Can we just because I know that people still ask us and people are still wondering.
Yeah.
We just want to make it clear the In Cup final
Yeah.
between Shinjinso and Shirker
Yeah.
has not happened yet.
No. And
Not only that,
yeah,
it hasn't even been scheduled.
no, it hasn't, because they really
It's now been, I believe, 19 months.
right.
Maybe 20 months.
Right.
Close to 20 months since the semi-finals.
Yeah.
And the final has still not been scheduled. I know that's a little bit difficult to believe, but
Yeah.
it is true. The games have not been played yet.
Yeah, and they really want to play the final in person. So, and it's going to be a best of 5 if I'm not wrong. So that will be a bit tough to schedule at this current in the current world. But let's see what happens. So that's everything I wanted to cover in this podcast.
You're forgetting the Kyrgyz travel show?
Okay, yeah, Kyrgyz travel show. For those who are interested, it's on Weiqi. I really don't want to say too much about it.
Maybe another week.
Maybe another week. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it myself, but maybe it's not even up yet. But apparently, Kyrgyz edited some of the raw footage. I don't know where he finds the time to do
Amazing.
This. I don't know.
His fans are gonna love that. His fans are gonna love that he's spending time editing
videos. Yeah.
Videos instead of studying.
Yeah.
His fans are just gonna love it.
Yeah. So I'll check out this show when it comes out, but I'm not sure if it's even out yet. So I have no idea why he's doing this, but whatever, you know. So that's the one picture from the travel show. Let's see. I might watch a little bit of it just to see what's happening. So, Gaza, if there's nothing more to cover, let's move on to the calendar.
Yeah, so we already mentioned the Myungin games. So 4 games this week.
Yeah.
Or next week, sorry.
Yeah.
And a big one. There's a big one on Thursday.
Yeah.
Honinbo final prelim.
Ooh. Why is it big?
Okay, now there are 3 spots in the Honinbo League that are available for qualifiers. All the rest are seeds from the previous league.
Right.
And this is one of the final qualifier spots. So whoever wins this game will make the Honinbo.
Right.
This is between a young player, Otake Yu, and Fujisawa Rina.
Massive.
Now I know there's some Otake Yu fans here, but I just want to say if Fujisawa Rina wins, she'll be the first woman to make a domestic league, an open league.
One of the big 3 league.
Yes. Well, they're the only majors that have leags. So the Kisei, Meijin, and Honinbo.
Yep.
No woman has ever made a league in those.
Yep.
If Fujisawa Rina wins this game, she will be the first. Now in her semi-final, she beat Murakawa Daisuke, who is a Kisei League S player.
Right.
So
she's done pretty well.
She has a chance.
Yes.
She has a chance of winning this game, but Otake Yu also has a chance.
Yes.
I believe Otake Yu recently beat a women's player in another major
right
game. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, but Yeah, he's both of them are capable of winning this. This could go either way, but very exciting for women's go in Japan.
Yep.
Um,
So yeah,
we shall see. I'm definitely going to be watching that game.
yeah,
Um,
100%.
other than that, this one's actually going to be a pretty light week. I think there's no. Is there any Jar League? Yes, the
It
Jar League is
looks
on
like this.
Friday.
Yes, it does look like this around. Now, of course, the Chinese Mingren was meant to be starting on the 6th, but I heard it was cancelled. But today I just saw another news saying that maybe it'll start. So I don't know, but chances are it's not going to happen. But I think we might have missed this one. 47th Meijin final game 2. I do believe it's on Monday. So
I
Yamayuta
keep
versus
I keep missing the Meijin because it's not on the Nihon Kiin.
right.
Wait, let me just try to quickly confirm that.
Yeah.
Um, it is.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, that's going to be the biggest game of the week. The
Yeah.
Meijin
Meijin.
game 2 Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, and of course on the same day we have Wen Sonjin versus Park Junhwan in the Myungin.
Oh yeah,
That will be a big
there
one.
are 2 big days, and then on the Tuesday,
Yeah,
because the Meijin is over 2 days.
yeah,
So on the Tuesday we're going to have Meijin day 2
yes,
and Kim Ji Sok versus Shinjinso.
yes. That's another massive one.
Yeah,
And
blockbuster couple of days. Not many games next week, but
yeah,
the games that are there are going to be pretty special.
yes. Now talking about specials, there's gonna be a Seo Bongsoo special. Now I just do want to quickly mention this, just because Seo Bongsoo is such a legendary player, and he's one of my favorite players. Just his style of play, I believe it's called Wild Grass, and he's doing something pretty wild in this special. So you may know Seo as the one of the second In Cup winner, and he's won 9 games in a row in a win and continue tournament before in a win and continue tournament involving Korea, China, and Japan before the Nongshim Cup. It's basically the same format as Nongshim Cup, but it was not technically not the Nongshim Cup, but same format. He's won 9 games by himself in a single tournament to finish it off. So he's beat every single Japanese and Chinese player almost to just finish off the whole series just by himself. And he was, I believe, the second player from the Korean team. So just based on these 2 things, he would already, and having done these 2 things, he's already a legend. But he decides to play a special 5-game series versus 5 of the top players in Korea. I believe the top 10 players in top 20 players in Korea were consulted on whether they wanted to play. I do believe Shin Jin-so declined to play in this series, but you have Park Jun-hwan, Byun Sang-il, Kang Dong-yun, Shin Min-jun, Kim Ji-sok agreeing to play, Seo Bongsoo, and this one is special is because I believe the first game will be even, so basically with Komi. Whoever loses will actually move to a handicap, which is no Komi. And then if you lose again, you actually get 2 stones handicap. So if there's 5 players, you could get, your last game could be 4 stones handicap, right? So this is something quite brave for a pro to do. And Seo said that he might lose at 2 stones, but he's pretty confident about winning the game at 3 stones. So when you see on the calendar Seo Bongsoo special, that's what it's referring to. So that will be.
Yeah, Korea love these specials. I believe that Seo Bongsoo actually had a special either earlier this year or late last year.
Right.
Similar format, but Seo Bongsoo was the strong player,
Right.
and he was playing amateurs.
Right.
And I think it was essentially it was something like he would play an amateur, and I think he would start with the amateur would start with 3 points.
Right.
Comey and 2 stones handicap,
Right.
or something like that. And if the amateur won, then the handicap would get smaller,
Right.
and it would keep getting smaller until Seo Bongsoo won.
Right.
And he did this up against, he did this with like 10 amateurs or something like that.
Right.
It was pretty crazy. Like the Korean Association seems to come up with all of these gimmicks, and
Yeah.
I find it. I think maybe for someone like Seo Bongsoo who doesn't play deep into the open tournaments anymore,
Yeah.
it's fine. But for players like Shinjin So, and especially like these 5 players here, Park Ji-won, Kim Ji-sok, Byun Sang-il, it's amazing that they find the time, considering how
Right.
condensed, how packed the Korean schedule is already, that they find the time to do these exhibitions as well is pretty crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So that anyway, that will be happening. So yeah, and that's basically the calendar. Of course, I just make all the important games a different color, just because. All right. So, thanks, Gaza, for another week of great news from the Pro Go world. And, yeah. I mean,
And just want to say also,
yeah,
feel free to make comments on our videos or in the subreddit or anything. If you want us to talk about anything in particular,
yeah,
we can probably do that. We've done it in the past.
yes, yeah. We do read the comments in the other
Oh,
channels.
we read every comment and
Every comment. I mean,
love.
it's not hard because hasn't been that many comments, but when they do happen, we do respond to them. Yes.
Yes. And we like the feedback. We like knowing if people enjoy the podcast.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
So thanks for all the support, everyone.
All right. Thank you. So Gaza, it's good to hear from you, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. Okay. Bye.